Just basically a bunch of information on luxury vinyl, hardwood, engineered hardwood, solid hardwood, and I'm just going to tell you just the basics of what's what, and how do you choose one over the other, what would make more sense in your scenario. And we'll try to have plenty of time for questions. And honestly, while I'm talking, if you think of a question, just get my attention, and you won't sidetrack me. So we'll just play it like this. So everybody should have one of these, right? So this is just a magazine from our store. We do one of these every year. And this is Alyssa. She's our marketing manager. All the content you see, in the magazine, and anything you see online, commercials, all that, she's kind of behind it. So she puts this together every year, and we actually have lots of meetings every year about what goes into this magazine, because it's basically all the questions that customers ask us through the years. There's like how to answer it in this magazine. So, and every year it gets bigger, but I feel like we make it simpler too. So there's if you flip through there, there's a section on our store where we're located, everybody that works for us, their job titles. One of the beauties of Mouery's Flooring, I'll just kind of introduce you to our store. We're not a commission-based store, so everybody there's a salary. So basically what that means for our customer, there's no sales pressure. You come to our store, we train everybody to just basically educate you on flooring. And we feel like, if we have good products and we, give you the right knowledge, a lot of people buy from us just based on knowledge and, us treating our customers right, not the pressure of having to make a sale type thing. So, so that's this microphone's gonna make it a little difficult. And you'll see like a hardwood section. So there's a hardwood section, solid versus engineered, which we'll talk about that a little bit today, like what's the difference. And everything in that section are, like I said, questions that we get asked all the time. A lot of people will come to the store and say, I want hardwood floors, just the traditional solid. And I'd say 90% of our sales are engineered hardwood. So and we'll talk about why that is here in this class. This is wealth of information on how hard different species are here, how do you maintain each type of floor, the specific cleaners you'll want to use and how to use them. We do these flush mount vents for luxury vinyl or solid hardwood. They just kind of, I always tell people they're not a necessity, it's just kind of a luxury item. It just makes your floor look a little more sharp. So. And then there's a whole section here on luxury vinyl, and it is a floor. So we're a full service store. So we do, the installation side of it. We have estimators. We, have the showroom, and I think it's So that's our. If you've seen that, it's on West Battlefield, kind of close to the police station. So we have a showroom. We have like 20-something thousand square foot warehouse. So we inventory a lot of luxury vinyl, a lot of carpet. I think between luxury vinyl and hardwood, we might have 75 different things in stock. And then we don't just stock that, we stock it deep, so it's not like we have like 80 square foot of a product, a lot of times we'll keep like 3,000 to 8,000 feet of it. So, and then carpet, we probably have 50 to 70 different carpets in stock too. So, and then there's a section, we do a lot of area rugs. There's a neat section, because if you're buying floors, a lot of times you cover them up with area rugs, so it kind of goes hand in hand. We have a section here, like how do you lay a rug out in a room? So, and again, it's a question we get asked all the time. What size do I need? So it's all in here. So that's for you guys to have. So we'll get started. My name's Rick Mouery. My wife and I started it about 16 years ago. We have 4 daughters now. And we've just kind of grown, by word of mouth and just doing business right. So we do, a little bit of advertising now. Alyssa does our social media, and we've always done really good at that. But we've just kind of grown through just doing business right and taking care of our customers. So luxury vinyl, we'll get started with that. So in the world of luxury vinyl, there's 3 different types, or 3 main types. You'll hear WPC. Which is if you flip to the luxury vinyl page, if you want to take notes, there's actually, so it's page 32. It'll have like the WPC vinyl there. There's an SPC vinyl, and then you have your Cortex Stone. So those are the three main types of luxury vinyl. So when you come into our store and a customer says, hey, we're looking for a luxury vinyl floor, we always say, not all luxury vinyl is created equal. And you have to be really careful what luxury vinyl you're purchasing, you're putting down. So one thing we have done with the luxury vinyl, not necessarily carpet or wood, but luxury vinyl and specifically, is we've eliminated all the cheap stuff. So we just don't carry that. And my thought process behind that is people don't use a luxury vinyl to have something that's going to fall apart in a few years, because that's what the cheap stuff does. And the best story I have with that, I don't know if I brought one, but we had a luxury vinyl that we sold for years. We still sell it. We go through truckloads of it. Never have a claim on it. We're about 2 years in. A manufacturer came in, and so basically, and this is a good time to say how luxury vinyl is made. So in a luxury vinyl, let me see, this is a good one to show. So you have your backing, and in this case, this is a Cortex product, so it's a cork backing. You have your core, and the core is what makes a luxury vinyl special or unique. So this core, in this case, is a WPC, the wood plastic or wood polymer core, and that's a waterproof core. So that's what makes it stable. That's what, and anytime you hear waterproof in flooring, it can be a really deceiving word, because it's not flood proof and it's not leak proof. It's basically everyday life. You spill a 5-gallon bucket of water on your floor and you're fine. You're wiping it up, you're fine. It's not gonna pucker on the edges or start bubbling. If everyday life, if you have dog bowls, those, and even if you don't get them up off the floor, the water from the top doesn't bother this product. It's when it gets saturated, and a lot of times, like we've been on jobs where we're dealing with a flood. You can save that product. It doesn't grow, or it's not cupping or anything like a wood will. But the problem is getting it locked back together after we unlock it, because this is a locking system, and once you lock it together, it's hard to get it unlocked without breaking the lock. So it's kind of deceiving. Yet, and we've had salesmen tell us, that we're buying this from, like, hey, if you have a flood, just unlock it and relock it. It's like, that's probably not practical, because we're going to be breaking a lot of those locking systems. So you have the waterproof core, and then where the word vinyl comes in, and vinyl in the flooring industry is the most popular floor sold right now. It's crazy. Even in our store, we've always been just really heavy on hardwood. My favorite floor is hardwood floors, and we'll talk about why when we get to the hardwood section. But it's the real deal, and I've just always sold a lot more hardwood than any other flooring. In the last 2 to 3 years, luxury vinyl is 50-50 and with our sales with hardwood. So it's just come a long way. So where the vinyl part in this product comes into play is this next layer. You can kind of see here, it's a really thin black layer. That's the vinyl on this product. So the whole product's not vinyl. Now, luxury vinyl's been around for a long time before this waterproof stuff, and the whole product used to be vinyl. And you can still get like solid luxury vinyl where you glue it down, but this is a lot more stable product. So then on top of that, you have the paper. The paper is basically what makes it look like wood. So the manufacturer will take a picture, like a high definition picture of a wood floor, and try to imitate that onto a vinyl product. So, and then over that, you have a wear layer. The wear layer is what really protects your floor. So, and I have this we can pass around. So in the wear layers, it gets kind of confusing, because a wear layer is measured in mils thickness. The total thickness of the entire product is measured in millimeters. So it gets really confusing whether it's millimeters or mils. So the wear layer is actually measured in mils. So when we pass this around, if you want to feel it, a 6 mil, that's the bottom one, that's a residential wear layer. So you'll feel it, it's not extremely thick. 12 mils, the next one, it's not extremely thick either. That's still considered residential. When you hit 20 mil, which is this next one, that's when it's considered commercial grade. So we can put that in Walgreens, you can put it in offices, and then it goes up from there. Usually 20 mil is the standard for commercial. This product here actually, I'll pass that around if you want to feel those. This product here has a 30 mil wear layer. So it's our most popular luxury vinyl. It's in the last 2 years, it's been our top, in our top 2 or 3, and it's the most expensive luxury vinyl we sell. But it is just a tough product. So the wear layer is what actually protects it, and what makes it scratch resistant, and what makes it really dent resistant is that core. So I say all that to say I had a company come in and say, like, I have the same papers you guys have. So it was the exact same look as our existing inventory. But I have it, 8 millimeters thick, just like you have. I have a 20 mil wear layer, just like you have. The specs were across the board the same, but we're $1 a square foot cheaper. So as a businessman, I'm like, yeah, we'll just, we didn't even have to change our display, because it was we ordered a box in, laid it out on the floor, it's the exact same floor. We just changed the price, changed the name on our display. So first job we did with it, installers, and this is one of the reasons why you want to go with if not necessarily us, but a specialty flooring store, somebody who's getting their hands dirty with it every day, and concerned not. And basically, I'm saying, like, the box stores are kind of dangerous when it comes to luxury vinyl, because you really have to have the person selling it has to have really good knowledge and experience about what it is. So. First house we did with it, installers called me and said, hey, I don't know what's wrong with this stuff, but it's garbage. Like, it's the locking system's breaking, so we did 3 houses, and it was 3 different crews. All 3 crews called me and said the same thing, like, we're going to be coming back out to these houses, because in a year or 2 these locks are going to break apart, they're going to be gapped. It's just going to be a nightmare for us. So I ended up replacing all 3 houses with our original stuff. And that taught me a lesson that not all products, even though they have the same wear rating, they have the same thickness, they have the same specs, they're not all created equal. If there's and I was telling a customer this earlier today, if there's $1 difference cheaper and it's the same product, they had to make it cheaper somehow. There's not that big of margins in these products. So we learned that they're fluffing up the core, that makes it such a special product. They're putting all these, additives into it just to make it a cheaper product. And then over the long term, you just purchased a floor that's not going to last very long. So the beauty of luxury vinyl is it can last a long, long time, with a lot of wear, with pets, with kids, a lot of traffic. And like I said earlier, it's made for commercial applications. So this one's at WPC. Another neat thing with luxury vinyl, when you get in, especially this 30 mil wear layer, so this is called embossed and registered. So you can actually feel that knot on here, in any type of grain you can feel. If there's a crack on the board, like this one here, you see the cracks on this board. This is a luxury vinyl. You can feel that. So basically what you see, you feel. So that's called embossing. So they basically have a stamp that's the same exact pattern that melts into that, that pattern of the wood, and it creates texture to it. So, and you can't do that with like a 6 mil. The wear layer is too thin. A 6 mil, 12 mil. You can get embossing, but you can't get embossed and registered, which it matches the exact look. So the regular embossing just adds like a feel to it, like a little texture to it, but it doesn't match that's kind of a cheap way to do it. It doesn't match what you actually see on the floor. So this is another one we keep in stock with the WPC. It's 1/2 inch thick, just a beefy product, and it's a 30 mil wear layer. So that's a WPC. The next product that in the luxury vinyl world is a SPC, and you'll see how this one's considerably thinner. The benefit of an SPC, so most SPCs we sell are for commercial products or projects, but we sell a lot residentially too. An SPC is actually cheaper to produce. So this one actually has a 12 or 20 mil wear layer, so it's gonna scratch, it's gonna resist scratches really well. It's commercial grade. It's thinner, so In a residential setting, because it's so thin, the core is actually made out of stone, or in this case limestone, which is 100% waterproof. It just sounds a little more clicky when you're walking around. So most of the time in residential, we tend to stock and sell the thicker WPC floors. That WPC, so this product is Cortex. They invented the waterproof luxury vinyl. I always say Cortex kind of like the Nike of flooring. Whatever they do, all the other mills kind of follow behind them. Everything they do is quality. They don't have like a low-end luxury vinyl. They just have like just good everyday products, and then these higher-end products. So Cortex, before they got into luxury vinyl, they used to be a bamboo company and a cork company. So cork and bamboo in the United States isn't very popular floor. So probably 15 years ago now, they invented this waterproof core out of bamboo dust and plastic. So they just basically make it into a batter. They bake it. If you look at this close enough, and I'll pass this around, you can see these little air pockets in it. And when you step on it, it gives it a little, you can't feel it in your hand, but when you step on it, it gives it a little give. And this is about as thick as it gets. Now, the Cortex just came out with a 3/4 inch, which is a 15 millimeter, which all you're getting with that is it lines up the tile better, it sounds better. So the thicker these products are, the better they sound in your home. So we do, and I'll pass this around if you want to look at that. We do a lot of the SPC, and I would say industry-wide, SPC is the most popular because of the price point. So these are going to be less expensive. The durability is the same. They just don't sound and feel as good underfoot. So you'll get the same longevity, just a different sound and feel. And the other thing, and one of the reasons why we sell so much of that thick one, it just lines up to other floors a lot better than this really thin floor. Because a lot of remodels we're doing, we're pulling out old floors, maybe a 3/4 inch tile, and that product's actually a 1/2 inch. There's a new 3/4 inch luxury vinyl. We can go back in the house with a 3/4 inch luxury vinyl, so you're not lowering your baseboards. There's not gaps underneath your door jambs, that type of thing. So SPC, made like the WPC, but with a stone core. And then the last product, I don't know if I brought one with me. It's Cortex Stone. They're gonna look, this isn't it, but it's gonna look a lot like this. So the Cortex Stone, the majority of those products are tile looks. So, and you'll see with this, it has a integrated beveled edge. So it looks, or grouted beveled edge. It looks like it's grouted, but it's not. So you don't have the wear and tear or the maintenance of a grout line. This is part of the vinyl floor, so you never have to clean, as far as if you've ever had tile, you're scrubbing the grout lines, that type of thing. This has the same protective layer that the rest of the floor has. So that's Cortex Stone. This product isn't, but it looks just like it. And Cortex Stone, the only difference with that is the core again. Well, the core and the way it's finished. So the core is actually made out of minerals, and it's actually harder than limestone. And the finish of it is finished like a ceramic or porcelain tile. So same type of deal. It locks, it floats, it locks and clicks. One of the beauties of any of these luxury vinyls is you can go over a lot of existing floors, so you save money on tear out. We go over even ceramic or porcelain tile all the time. Because this stuff's so rigid, it won't bleed through the grout lines, as long as the tiles are level. So you save money on the prep costs. It can go right over your subfloor. All of these products have a backing already attached, so it's literally you get if it's new construction, you literally just lock it right over your subfloor. So just in the labor on this versus like a tile floor or even a hardwood floor is a whole lot less expensive, easier to do. We even have a section in our magazine that's DIY luxury vinyl, do-it-yourself luxury vinyl, like how to install luxury vinyl. just because so many people do it. And we even have had classes at our store on, with one of our installers showing like how you cut around doors and how you lock it together and all that. And we do have those blogs still out there on our website, with those classes on how you install it. So that's luxury vinyl. Another product I wanted to bring up and talk about, just because it's becoming more and more popular again. So 10 plus years ago, laminate was extremely popular. The box stores kind of ruined that for everyone, because they started carrying cheap stuff and then cheaper stuff and then cheaper stuff, and everybody was buying like 99-cent laminate, 69-cent laminate, and there's just nothing to those products. And then, what do you get? A floor that feels like you're walking on Tupperware, all the time. It sounds bad, it feels bad, it doesn't wear good. You spill a cup of water on it, it starts puckering. So laminate, the popularity of laminate just kind of went away for a while, and then this luxury vinyl, this waterproof, extremely durable product, just kind of took over the market. Well, laminate is coming back, and they're built a lot better than they used to be built. And back when laminate became popular, there was a few companies like Wilson Art that really made a really good laminate, but they were expensive. So a good laminate like these two, and we keep both of these in stock, and I have bigger pieces of them up here, is actually more durable than a luxury vinyl. The way it's finished is with a melamine plastic, and it's melted to the top, so it's one of the hardest floors to indent or scratch, and it locks and clicks and floats just like a luxury vinyl. So one of the biggest reason why luxury or laminate kind of lost its popularity is because of the water issues that you'd have with it. Pets in the house, spilled bowls. You'd have the edges of your laminate would be puckered everywhere because water got in there. So we have tested out a lot of different manufacturers in laminate, and the only one we really like right now is a product from Mohawk called Revwood. And Mohawk says it's 100% waterproof. We tell our customers it's water resistant. Again, we go to this big show in Vegas where all the flooring manufacturers are there for 1 week. They had, a couple years ago, they had this Revwood, and they had it all locked together and a water fountain thing flowing over top of it, and there's plexiglass under it, and you could tell like none of the water was getting through this laminate. So the locking system on this completely seals it. So again, as long as water's on the top, it's not going to ruin this product. The danger of it is if water gets underneath it, because all laminate is basically particle board core. So they have created this extremely dense particle board core. It's rough on a saw, it's hard to cut. They actually start with a really dense 18-inch slab of this, and they have a machine that keeps pressing it and pressing it and pressing it and pressing it until it gets to this about ½ inch thick. And all it is sawdust and glue that makes up this batter or this core. So, and Mohawk actually puts a waterproof feature inside of that when they're kind of baking it all together. So you can do this in an entire house. You can put it in bathrooms. Even this laminate, if you do it in a bathroom, they require you to silicone around the walls, so water, if you have kids or grandkids or whatever, if they get out of the tub and water's everywhere, it's not going to get up under the wall and under this product. So when we go up next to the tub, we just silicone it off there, and water doesn't get underneath it. So the beauty of this is we can go through the whole house. The beauty of a luxury vinyl is we can go through the whole house. And even as soon as 7 years ago, these products weren't near as stable, so you had to put transitions in every doorway. So these products are so dimensionally stable now. A lot of them can go like 6,000 feet without a transition, and they're just like one floating slab throughout the whole house. But they're not really worried about. Used to, it would, different seasons of the year, it would grow and then shrink when it gets cold. And these products are so dimensionally stable now, we can go throughout the whole house. So there's a lot of benefits to a luxury vinyl. There's a lot of benefits to a good laminate floor. The luxury vinyls, we probably have 20 to 30 that we carry in stock. Laminates, we have 4, and they're all 4 redwood. They're just, like I said, they're just gaining popularity, and I think they're going to be kind of a wave of the future here in the next few years. So that's luxury vinyl, laminate, and then there's other floors like cork, bamboo. We just kind of stay away from that. We've carried them throughout the years. Bamboo is just a nightmare in the Midwest. They absorb moisture, and we have such a humid climate here. Almost every time we've done a bamboo floor, they've kind of, cupped and bowed and created a nightmare. So then you get to a hardwood floor. So in the hardwood world, you have a pre-finished floor, which is all these that we have here, and then we have the sand and finish that we do inside of a house. So we do both. So a sand and finish is basically we just install raw wood, whatever species you want. If it's hickory, white oak. White oak's extremely popular right now. So say it's a white oak. We install white oak. Our guys come in. They put a putty on the floor, kind of smooth out any kind of imperfections, any knot holes. Then they sand it all down, and it's just glass smooth. So you don't have beveled edges. It's just like, and there's no getting away from it unless we can go in and do a hand scrape. It gets expensive, but you can do a hand scrape floor on a sand and finish. But then we apply a stain. So a benefit of the sand and finish is you can pick your color. We can get extremely specific with that. And then you can pick your finish as far as how shiny you want it. If you wanted a matte finish or extremely high gloss. The downside of doing that is we're applying it on the job site, the finish is what protects your floor. And we're applying that like in a house instead of in a factory where they can bake it and apply a lot of several different coats. So when the whole process of putting a finish on in a house is we can normally get about 3 coats before it gets too thick to put another coat on, and then it just air dries. So on a pre-finished floor, like all these that we have up here, the finish is actually 7 to 10 to even 12 coats of finish can be applied in a factory because it's sprayed on with a gun. They're all baked on. They can put a hardener like aluminum oxide or titanium oxide, and then the final coat of it, they bake it all together so it's like a hard enamel. So I always say, unless you're just looking for an extremely specific look, or if you don't want a beveled edge. You see, when I talk about beveled edge, it's these edges, and you have to, on a pre-finished floor, you have to put a bevel, because if it's a sharp edge and one board's higher than the other when you install it, you're going to be cutting your foot. So they cut that edge off just a little bit, just in case the boards aren't extremely level when they install. So pre-finished floor is always what we recommend, but we do a lot of sand and finish too. So solid versus engineered. So solid's been a great hardwood floor for years and years and years and years. It still is, but where it comes into being a problem is when right now what's popular, what's the trend is a really wide plank. You just cannot do a wide plank solid hardwood. Again, here in the Midwest, and it's not just because we're in the Midwest, but because we're in the Midwest, we have a lot of humidity, and so a hardwood is called hygroscopic. So when it's a tree in the ground, how it grows is it gains moisture, and then the cells of that tree expand and get bigger. If it goes through a drought, what happens? The limbs start drooping because it's losing the moisture and it starts shrinking. So if you ever had a hardwood, like a solid hardwood floor, and like in different seasons, it moves, like you'll have a crack in the winter, and then in the summer that crack goes away. It's a hygroscopic floor, so even though it's cut into boards, it still has those same qualities that gains moisture and releases moisture. So the NWFA, they're the National Wood Flooring Association. They're the company that makes up all the rules for companies like me, for our installation. Anytime there's a claim, you have to go through the NWFA and see if like we installed it correctly per their standards. So they did a test years ago. They put a 5-inch solid hardwood in a house, installed it in half a house, a 5-inch engineered hardwood and installed it in half a house. They put the moisture content up to 17% in the subfloor, which is really high. And they left it in, I think it was like a week or so they left it in there. The solid grew like 1/8 of an inch. Each board grew 1/8 of an inch, which is extreme. You know, if you think of each board growing 1/8 of an inch in your house, the engineered didn't grow at all. So what makes engineered extremely popular, especially here in the Midwest, is its dimensional stability. So on a solid board, as long as we stay 2 or 3 inches wide, it's a great floor. When you get wider than that, we like to switch over to, you know, if it's a 4-inch, we're still probably fine. Depends on the moisture content in your home. But when we get into 5-inch, 6-inch, when what's really popular now, 7-inch, I just put one in our house that's almost 11 inches wide. It's an engineered floor. If I would have put a solid 11 inches wide, it would have been down 3 or 4 days and we would have been having problems, because the bigger the boards, the more exaggerated that movement is. So what makes, and this is a good one to show you just because it's an extremely thick board. So this is actually a 3/4 inch engineered. Solid hardwood, which I have one here. Solid hardwood is 3/4 inch also. So the beauty of a 3/4 inch engineered is we pull a lot of old solid, just like I was talking about with the luxury vinyl. We pull a lot of old solid floors out that people want to update and get a wider board. Well, majority of engineered floors are like 3/8 to 1/2 inch. So that's the majority of what you can find and buy. It's actually really, really hard to find a 3/4 inch engineered floor. I have no idea why, because we stock about 4 of them and they're 4 of our best sellers, just because we're remodeling so many houses that we're pulling out old 3/4 inch floor. If you have a tile floor, if you have a wood subfloor, that's set at 3/4 inch. So whenever you pull out a 3/4 inch floor and you go into something thinner, again, lowering baseboards, you've created cabinet issues. The door jambs are all undercut at 3/4 of an inch, and then if we slide in like a 3/8 floor, then we have a 3/8 gap. It looks like your doors are just kind of floating there. So, and you know, if we do, you know, we, like I said earlier, we're a full service store. Our estimator will come out, and that's the first thing he's looking for: moisture content. If he knows we're doing wood, he tests, you know, your relative humidity in your house, your moisture content in your subfloor, and the heights everywhere, to make sure we're not going to have an issue once our install crew comes. And a lot of times he gets there and then we have to switch you over to a product like this. You know, we need a product, you know, but if you're just like, you just love like a 1/2 inch product, we can build the subfloor up so we can put a 1/4 inch, you know, underlayment down, so we're back at 3/4 of an inch there. So on an engineered floor, what makes it dimensionally stable? So the base of it is basically plywood. So every house that's built nowadays, it's, you know, the roof is decked out in plywood, the subfloor is plywood. It gets rained on, you know, during the building, you know, phase. You know, there's houses you'll drive by that they're decked out inside, but there's no roof decking. You know, it's just getting rained on. But that's because plywood is extremely dimensionally stable. So what makes it dimensionally stable? It's real wood, so you'd think like, you know, it would grow and shrink like you know, a solid wood does. So when they make a plywood, so just kind of envision a huge pencil sharpener. So they stick like a big log in this vat of water. It's a boiling vat of water, kind of soften the log, and then they start shaving these veneers off of that log. These just huge veneers. And when that tree grows or it gains moisture, it only grows in one direction. And when it loses moisture, it only loses moisture in the opposite direction. So when they make a plywood, you'll see all the different layers, those thin layers of veneer there. And when they make that, the first layer, they will install this way. The second layer, they go 90 degrees on top of that and glue that layer. The third layer, 90 degrees, the fourth layer. And when they all gain moisture, they all hold themselves stable. Because this one wants to go this one way, this one wants to go that way, and they just hold themselves in place. And that's why in that NWFA test, you know, the 5-inch engineer didn't move at all when moisture was presented to it. So in the Midwest, and because people like white plank, we have a lot of humidity. The white plank, majority of everything sold is engineered hardwood. So the next big worry is it's not going to sound or look like a real hardwood floor. So it's installed the same exact way a solid board is. So you see the tongue here. We put the nails through the tongue just like a solid board. The nail pattern's the same. It's a part, you know, if we're going over plywood subfloor, it's a part of your subfloor just like a solid board is. And I always tell you, and all these products, besides this one, all these products are engineered hardwoods down here, or a lot of them are. I always tell people, the best flooring guy on the planet, if he walks into a house that's installed, he can't tell you if that's a solid or it's an engineered product once it's installed, because the top layer is the real wood that you're going for. So if you're looking for hickory, that top layer, in this case, this is white oak, that's a 6mm veneer. And it's all like a solid piece of, you know, veneer of white oak. And so when it's installed, and that's a white oak down there too. When it's installed, if it's pre-finished, it's finished the same exact way a solid would be, you know, stained the same way in the factory. It has the same amount of coats of finish. The maintenance is the same. And then another issue people, you know, ask about is, you know, what if I want to refinish it in 15, 20 years? Well, as long as it has a 2.5mm veneer, you can sand it down. In this case, it has a 6mm veneer. So on a solid board, so this is a solid board. The perception is like, oh, we got 3/4 of an inch to sand down. We can sand it down 10 times. We put the nail right there, so you only have 4mm of sand surface. So a lot of these, like this one here, that's our best-selling engineered hardwood. That has a 3mm veneer, so you have almost the same amount of sand surface if you ever wanted to refinish that. But these floors are finished so well nowadays, the chances you'll ever want to refinish a new pre-finished wood is really slim. One, most of them are wire brushed, which means, like in this case, they basically take a big wire brushing machine and scrape they call it the new wood out of it, all the soft wood out of it, and it creates kind of a harder finish, and it creates like a texture. A lot of them are hand scraped, like this one here. This is another one we keep in stock. This is a hand scrape. If you ever sanded this down or sanded the wire brush floor down, you lose all that texture, and then you lose the beveled edge. So then now we've just got a smooth floor. You can pick your stain color and your finish from that point, but the chances you'll ever do that are really, really slim. So, and there's different finishes to floors. Majority of hardwood, whether it's solid or engineered, it's a urethane finish. I would say 90-95% of what's sold in the U.S. is urethane finish. It's just easy to maintain. You just use Bona cleaner, Bona mop, or a lot of over-the-counter stuff you can find. This floor is actually an oil finish floor. The floor I have in my house, we did an engineered 10-inch wide, 3 layers of the house. Engineered, another advantage, you can go over concrete. Solid, you can't go over concrete. It has to be above grade, a solid floor, or it'll bow and cup on you. So on the different finishes, I did an oil finish in my house. I like it because it gives, this is an oil finish too. It gives an extremely natural texture, natural fill. The only difference as far as maintenance is you just have to use their cleaners. So if you use like a Bona, like a petroleum-based cleaner, over time you'll just dry the floor out. I don't think it would ever be like a replacement type issue where the floor is ruined, but it'll just create cracks in the floor. It'll just dry it out over time. And it's funny because this company here, they always, we've done a ton of jobs. We keep this one in stock, like I was saying, and they use a lot of our media for they're a big, worldwide company. Their headquarters are in China or Taiwan or something, but they use a lot of our marketing for their company because we've done some really cool jobs with it and take a lot of cool photos. But they will call you know, some of the reps will call me sometimes, I works for them, to get information on their own products. Just because anybody that sells, and this is why oil finish floors aren't sold very much in the US, nobody really knows how to maintenance them or tell you like what to use on them. It's actually really simple. You just have to use their products, whatever they recommend. So in this case, you know, you just use their new oil. They have a new oil refresher. You know, if you want to put, you just spray it on. If you want to use like condition the floor every, you know, two times a year, stay off of it for about 12 hours. But there's advantages to both the urethane and the oil finish floor. So, and then lastly, we'll talk about on a hardwood. You have to put, if you're going over a wood subfloor, you have to put some kind of moisture retardant down over the wood subfloor. A lot of times it'll just be like an aqua bar or like a roofing felt type paper. It looks like construction paper, you'll just roll down it. And it's not a moisture barrier, as if you put like plastic down over a wood subfloor, it'll trap all the moisture between the an aqua bar or a roofing felt paper. It just stops the moisture from hitting the wood floor all at the same time if you have like a really humid season. This is a product called Whisper Step. We sell tons of it, and all it really is, again, this is like a luxury item, but it just makes your floor sound softer. Like it takes away, and I call it a floor muffler. It just reduces the noise when you step on it. You'll never know that you needed it until you stepped on them side by side. You know, if we installed this floor over like an aqua bar, that's all you'll ever know. But when you feel them side by side, that one just sounds so much better when you walk on them. Where you really see the benefit of that is if you have a basement home and you install it on the main level, it deadens that sound down in the basement. It doesn't. So they use this in a lot of high-rise like condos and that type of thing to reduce the sound travel. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to say about the three different types of floor or two different types of floor. Anybody have any questions?
Maintenance on vinyl?
So maintenance on vinyl. So it's luxury vinyl. It's extremely simple. You can wet mop it. You can use like a microfiber mop. Usually it just needs to say like vinyl cleaner on it, but Bona, we stock one called Bona and Pro Care, and ours doesn't even say luxury vinyl on it, it just says hardwood, but Bona had told me it's the same formula, so instead of us having two different products there. So maintenance is really easy. If you like old school mopping, you can old school mop it. You're not going to damage it. And just sweep it and clean it. It will scratch. It's not scratch proof, but it's really, really hard to scratch. So you'll scratch it like move a big piece of furniture over it. But I honestly, on a 20 mil wear layer, I've never seen a dog scratch it. So it is that tough. So it's not. Yeah, so she's asking about the gases that LVP will emit. So it's a California regulation. It's called CARB compliant. Everything that comes into the U.S. now has to meet that CARB compliance. So everything is, there's not a real issue with it. So Lumber Liquidators years ago, I say years ago, like 5 years ago, got a huge lawsuit over it. Again, it was a product they were bringing in, cheap. It was full of formaldehyde. And honestly, there's formaldehyde in everyone's home. We all breathe formaldehyde. You go outside, you breathe formaldehyde. But they were stuffing their core of their laminate full of formaldehyde, and it was making people sick. But it was not CARB compliant. So now this California new law, every floor has to pass through that CARB compliance. So we've never put it down and somebody said like we get sick over the gases that come from it. So the core of it is either made out of limestone and plastic or wood and plastic. So there's plastic everywhere in people's homes. So no, it'll just, the box will say CARB compliant. So there's not a rating anywhere. The green, it's not like a green story type floor. So it will have some off-gassing, that type of thing, but it's not like sisal or that type of thing. It's really hard to get you can do a hardwood floor, and hardwood is actually great for it because hardwood absorbs carbon out of the air, and just like in nature, how it cleans the air, it still does that in your house. So for, as far as the greenest type of floor, a hardwood floor would be the way I would go. Yeah. And a lot of that strong smell from the old vinyl was the adhesives they used to install it. This has no adhesive. Anybody else? So we have Alyssa has some t-shirts if you'd like. And that's it, right?
Yeah.
T-shirts. And everybody got the magazines.